Welcome to Fairy Tale Access, where the head fairy's quest is to prove that fairy tales do exist in actual time rather than once upon a time. Together, we will unravel the heroes, young and old, who turn dreams into reality. These are the people who still believe in happily ever after. The discoveries will bend even our most cynical non-believers into believing in fairy tales. Welcome to Fairy Tale Access, the place where we're going to unravel fairy tales in actual time rather than once upon a time. And together, my guests are from the Independent Karate School, and they're going to explain their motto of why it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. And today I have the Independent Karate School instructor, Jeff Mastrowski.
Very good.
Thank you. And Mr. Peter Damaris.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me today. So can you tell me how your school got started?
Well, it started in 1979, and it was my father, Lou Damaris, and his partner, Victor Anastasia. I was about 12, 13 years old. And it started just as a regular karate school on Main Street, and it moved in 1984 to Lake Street, on 138 Lake Street. And that school has been there, obviously, now for well over 30 years in Nashua, and we focus on instructing the youth. We do have an adult program, but our major focus has always been on children and then their development up into the teen years and forward.
So what type of training does your school offer?
Well, the training is traditional. This is a Kempo school, Kempo Karate, which Kempo can trace its roots back through China, even as far as back as India, as far as the self-defense is concerned, but it really has its roots in our 50th state in Hawaii, is where Kempo really finds its roots. And it means fist principle or fist law, and it's a very structured art. But the art that we teach, the Kempo that we teach here in New England, really comes from a gentleman named Nick Serio. And Professor Serio actually is responsible for pushing it throughout our area in New England. And we are an offshoot of the late Professor Serio's philosophy. And my father was a friend of his. I was a student of his as he coached me in tournaments. And the school developed in the early 80s. We had gone through waves of having scores of students to stability, to enough stability to be able to own our own building, to be able to support that, and to be able to be kind of a staple in the community.
Great. And what was the philosophy that he taught?
Well, philosophy, when I look at philosophy, karate isn't really a philosophy. There is a philosophy in what we do. What we try to instill in children is that independence of being able to be strong enough to be able to help other children, to be able to help themselves, being confident. What you have to understand, what the martial arts was originally intended to do, whether it be Kempo, whether it be karate, or the thousands of versions of karate that are out there, what it was originally intended to do is make a person so confident, so comfortable in their own skin, so self-actuated that they would not have to fight, that they would not need to have aggression. So if everyone participated, that would mean that no one would need to utilize this. And then you create this community where people are helping one another. They're physically strong enough to protect themselves if they need to, but the need to protecting themselves goes further and further. It becomes dissipated as people become trained and become self-confident. So really what you're teaching is right within the name of the school. That's what you want to be able to teach them. You don't want to teach them to stay in karate forever. They come back, they work out, they have fun with it, but you really want them to be able to take this as part of their lives so they can go off into college and go off into the workforce and use this discipline that they learned, this focus that they learned, to apply it to other things. It's almost like an anchor for them. So that's how that works.
Is the anchor surrounded by core values that you teach your students?
Yeah. The biggest core value is that everyone is connected, no matter who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Just because someone is shorter than you or taller than you or bigger than you or stronger than you or slower than you, they're still important. They're still just as important as you are. So you may have a higher rank, you may have more responsibility, but you're not better than them.
Right.
They may be better than you in something. You may be better than them in something, but you're not better than they are. That's the core value we're trying to teach. Everyone is your superior in that you can learn something from them. So that is what they're taught. They're taught that everyone has value. And when they believe that everyone has value and everyone needs their help and they may need their help as well and so on and so forth, once they all learn that, then the bullying is weakened, can completely go away because you don't need to lord over someone. You need to be there to help them and they need to be there to help you. So the way to stop bullying is to basically make that child and that feel strong and feel strong enough that they don't have to exert themselves over someone else, that they feel like they can help that person by including them. So that's what we mean by it's important. It's nice to be important. Everyone wants to be important, but it's more important to be nice about that. I mean, I may be faster than you, I may be slower, but to be able to hurt someone, to be able to defend yourself is not something you should be demonstrating constantly to that person and trying to show how good you are, trying to hurt them. You should be trying to develop them. And a 6-year-old can help develop another 6-year-old by setting a good example. A teenager is even more so. A good teenager with good grades in school, good extracurricular activity, looked up to by these young children, they'll begin to emulate that young man or that young woman, and that's the purpose of our scholarship. We try to put forth young individuals like that. So it's a circle.
So Jeff, what type of volunteerism do your students participate in the community as part of your school?
Well, as Peter alluded to, we teach our students that it's more important to be nice to others, and that means building up the community around you that sustains you. So we actually help out with a lot of local charities. We have one that we'll be talking about in a couple minutes, but we feel it's just as important to give back to them since they do such great work, such as charities like the High Hopes Foundation in New Hampshire, who grants wishes to chronically and seriously ill children in the state. They've been doing this for 30 years, just about the same time we have. We help out with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society when they have their annual Light the Night Walk, the Humane Society, the Rotary Clubs, and also I know you did a piece earlier about the Shriners, and we help out them with their hospital by having our students engage in a little competition to collect the aluminum soda tabs. And coincidentally, the girls always beat the guys.
Really?
So yes, they're more, I don't know why that is, but they do have a good time doing that.
Oh, that's a great cause.
Mm-hmm.
So for the scholarship, what's the criteria that your school offers?
Yeah, thank you.
The scholarship itself has been a nonprofit since 2007, but was started back in 1993, shortly after we lost one of our best instructors in black belts, Craig Hutchinson, to mononucleosis when he was in Carnegie Mellon University. Craig was a very bright student and a very adept martial artist, and he was not able to fulfill all the dreams that he'd like to, that many young people like to when they go off to college. So to kind of honor him and realize the vision that he wanted for himself, we give out a scholarship every year to one of our students. They have gone through the ranks in the school, they are black belts, they are instructors, but more so there's 3 main criteria we look for. We look for academic achievement, extracurricular involvement, and when there's a financial need for the scholarship. Because all 3 of those things make a well-rounded individual. And we talk about words of the month all the time. Our word this month in the school is balance. And you have to be balanced with everything. We don't want someone who's just a straight A bookworm and doesn't do anything else like volunteer-wise. We need both.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But how long does it take to get a black belt?
It really depends. We've actually, I mentioned Craig Hutchinson. We give black belts, we don't give them out, they have to be earned, of course, but the youngest we will give out a black belt is 12 years old, because there's a basic level of maturity that we expect from our students. And Craig was actually the first 12-year-old black belt we had in the school. And to this day, we have students starting as young as 5. They stay with us. If they're lucky, by 12, 13, they've gone through the ranks for 7 years, they'll be getting their black belts at that time. Older students tend to learn quicker, so it might be as little as 4 years for them.
The black belt, it's a journey, it's not a destination. Everyone wants to say, oh, we've achieved a black belt. But that's a time, it's up to the individual. There's no set time for that. However, there's Milestone Age. You have to be 5 to be a member of the school to join karate, minimum. That we call that the Matt Moore rule, our first 5-year-old. Matthew Moore graduated from the U.S. Naval Academy and then from Bethesda Medical. He is now a pediatrician. Matthew was the first 5-year-old that demonstrated the discipline or the behavioral discipline that we were looking for. We then, when we have 5-year-olds come in, we look at them. Sometimes they'll take for a little while. We'll tell the parents, not quite ready. But we have benchmarks to look for because we have so much experience. We do call that the Matt Moore rule. Craig Hutchinson rule would be 12. Craig was the first 12-year-old. We weren't sure if we were going to promote him at 12, but he had the maturity. So now those are our sort of our benchmarks that we utilize. Teaching children under the age of 5 is something we're not interested in, and we don't think that martial arts schools are necessarily qualified for. They may be, ours is not. And we believe that 12, if they've started it between 5 and 6, is a good age to consider that beginning of that black belt journey, the beginning of that journey. So.
And how many students do you give the karate scholarship out to a year?
Each year it depends. We always have plenty of applicants each year because our students, of course, do very well in their extracurriculars, their academics. They all want to go off to school or into the military service, which we respect as well. But we have given it to as few as 1 and as many as 3 in a year. Many years ago, I was one of the recipients, and I was in a year where 2 other gentlemen basically got the scholarship along with me. I went off to become a financial accountant. Another one went into the U.S. Army. He's now a Special Forces captain, I believe.
I believe he's been promoted since, but
Yes.
We don't want to get into where he is and what he's doing, but he is Special Forces. So.
And the other one is managing high-end hotels in New York.
Yep.
Wow.
Yes.
And aside from the scholarship award that you give out to these students each year, are there any other initiatives or things that the funds are used for?
You can take that if you'd like.
Yes, there are. So the scholarship is all about promoting education. And of course, one of the missions that we know about for the Fairy Tale Festival is promoting literacy and things of that nature. So one of the best ways we can do that is through giving out the scholarship to our students. But we also, in ways we promote education, we have a very good working relationship with Bishop Girton High School, right down the road. And they have their annual academic awards, and we fund a community involvement award for that ceremony, which is basically trying to mirror the skills and the achievements that we expect from our own scholarship recipients. They're doing well in school, they balance that with extracurriculars, and they put in a lot of effort to work hard. And it allows them to continue their education there because private school tuition is not cheap.
No, it isn't.
Yes, but the other main program that we're doing that Peter and I are very excited about is we've entered into, I suppose you'd call it a mini partnership with...
the Boys and Girls Club have it called a collaboration. We have a collaboration with the Boys and Girls Club where students are selected. They choose their club members through their own criteria and send them to the school. They are funded by our foundation. Mm-hmm. So these children who earn basically martial arts scholarship. So now the foundation can fund children who couldn't otherwise afford karate. And this is, their tuition is taken care of, so they come in, take their classes and not be encumbered by that. And it's very helpful because the students they send, they do a tremendous job vetting them. And we have some very good students that we've gotten from that organization. And they also, I can see them as being a good pool for us for volunteering and development of the school. So it also changes our, it changes our demographic. It makes us more diverse. It makes us stronger. So it's a nice collaboration. You've got strong students who want to be there. parents that have been very involved, and the club has been very involved, allowing us to do demonstrations there, allowing us to work with him. It's been a nice collaboration of nonprofits.
That
So,
is.
yeah.
So what's the benefit of your nonprofit to the community?
Would you like to take that?
All right. Well, that is, I've been asked that question again and again. And when we go out and we help out at Light the Night, and we help raise money for blood cancers, and we go to High Hopes and we help children who are very ill, critically ill, and then we help out. Bring toys and gift cards and things over to the National Children's Home, and all those things, these young people involved in that. And then from one of those young people, maybe more, a scholarship goes out, a significant scholarship to them. And say, well, what does that benefit the community, giving a scholarship out to one of those individuals is going out and volunteering and being part of this organization that goes out and adds to all of these charities? Well, if you didn't have young people who are educated, if you didn't have them out there, those Matt Moores that I mentioned, who's a pediatrician, there's Dr. Sal Scally, who's down in Florida, who's a board-certified surgeon. If you didn't have those people out there, then who would be finding the cures for things? Who would be helping our corporations be successful? Who would be pulling us out of debt issues? Who would be fixing the problems that we as adults have created? Unless we help educate and fund our young people, we're certainly not doing it. We're not. It's evident, and it doesn't matter what political party you are at all. It's evident that we as adults are not getting the job done. So we need to push forward the next generation. And if we don't help them with their education, they're not going to be able to do that.
And shortly I'm going to...
That's the benefit, I believe.
I believe you're right, because I had asked Jeff to allow me to contact former students to get letters from them. Excuse me, which I'll share with our audience shortly. And behind the letters, I'm going to show some pictures and different things that your organization does. But they're sharing and expressing their thoughts on the program. I think the core values that you teach them, the determination, the ability to really finish whatever they started, has really helped the individuals whose letters I'll share in just a few moments. But what I'd like to know is, how do the kids get interested in karate? Is it just I want to learn to fight, or is it storybook characters that influence the younger people?
Well, I won't lie and say that there have been some people who've come into our school and that is their intention, that they want to learn how to fight, and it's obviously not what we teach. We teach self-defense and community involvement, which is a lot more important than fighting, in my humble opinion. But we do have plenty of students that come in. They've seen things about the Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers and everything else like that. That gets them interested in saying, oh, I want to be able to do that someday. But there's a lot of other good stories and backgrounds of martial arts styles that have really influenced some of the kids. So, for example, as you know, from the Fairy Tale Festival a few years ago, we put on a skit where we did a couple scenes from the movie Mulan, which was originally a poem made, I believe, back in the 1930s, might have been a little older than that. But it was adapted into many works, including the Disney movie. And that is a way for kids to become interested in it when the story brings alive the material that they're being taught.
And when Milan came out, did you find that you had more young girls applying for karate?
I can answer. There have been waves of children coming into karate. The first big wave was in 1983 for Karate Kid. Big wave.
Really?
But there was a wave before that, though. The first one was with me. It was in 1974. I was 8 years old, and that was the Kung Fu series on TV. So that got children wanting to go into karate, but it wasn't as noticed then. In the early 80s it was, early to mid 80s, or the Karate Kid movies. That's what brought children in. And then whenever you see a martial arts movie now, it isn't as big as the wave of the Karate Kid time, but you'll see them come in, Kung Fu Panda, all that. These things all of a sudden, I could be involved with karate, but you have to understand that karate is now part of the landscape. just as soccer and basketball and all those things. If you watch commercials now, a child will come in with what we call a gi or a uniform on, and it's just a normal part of a Saturday going to karate classes or going to soccer. This is different than when I was little, and when I started, it was considered much. It was special. It was not considered a normal activity, and now it is part of the choices that parents have.
And can you explain would it be typical to call it, or okay to call it, a uniform?
We call it a uniform. It's a gi. That's a traditional name for it. But it's a uniform, and the children call it a gi. I think an organization, it just makes it a little more official, makes them feel like they're part of learning the martial arts. And also there's some practical reasons for wearing a gi. You have to be able to. Yeah. Well, practical reasons is the way it's designed. You can do your katas, you can move in it, you can stretch in it, you can grab and do techniques in it where your regular clothes wouldn't be able to withstand some of the things that would happen. It's like any other uniform design. Soccer needs its own accoutrements. So does the martial arts. Children need to be outfitted properly for what they do. It's a safety issue. It's a discipline issue. If you get a bunch of children out there playing hockey and they don't have all the right equipment, you're going to have a problem. The same thing with football, same thing with any of the sports. So they need to have the right equipment, and that's just simply part of their equipment, a good gi.
Good point. And since you promote self-defense, do you have special classes for women or young people that are involved with bullying that they can...
I do want to mention something before you go into that. There's an individual that we should speak to here, and that is Victor Nastasia is the owner of the Independent Karate School. Now, Victor Nastasia does do an excellent job at teaching self-defense. And his area is in working with older people, or not older people, people in their 20s, 30s, and so on self-defense. And he's an expert in that area. He's been teaching the martial arts since the 1970s. So he is a person that to contact in our school with regard to that. And he's taught at colleges. He's taught at Revere College. He's taught at after-school programs. He's been very involved in the community, but he's not vocal. He's a perfect example of what we call treasure in a pocket, which is really what peace over war is. You see the symbol? It means you're supposed to cover your skill and not brag. That's what Mr. Nastasia does. But Mr. Nastasia is a driving force behind those self-defense classes, to answer your question.
And a lot of those self-defense classes as well, in addition to the after-school programs that he's involved with. We've also given private classes before to groups of between 15 and 25, Cub Scouts, Brownies, things of that nature, and let them come in and try a class all together as a group. And that's another way we reach out and find new people that might be interested in learning the style and having a good time doing it.
Right.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you both for joining me today. And I'm going to end with going in and reading the letters that some former students sent us to express their thoughts and feelings about attending your school and the experience that they received there. And then we'll be back for the second part of our show with one of your students who is currently an orange belt, and her mother, and another graduate. Is he a black belt?
Yes.
He is.
So fantastic. We'll get the whole range. And I do appreciate both of your times today and coming in to talk to us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very
My
much.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Dear Denise, please find a summary of my experience with the Independent Karate School per your request. I was extremely honored to receive the Craig P. Hutchinson Memorial Scholarship when I graduated from Merrimack High School in 1995. I have been a student of the IKS since 1984, and the school undoubtedly shaped my development and my future life path. According to my mother, I was a very cautious, shy child who wasn't comfortable making her presence known. My years as a student and then an instructor in the Independent Karate School changed that and gave me a deep foundation of confidence that allowed me to pursue my dreams. I learned to embrace competition, but also the value of good sportsmanship. My ability to defend myself if necessary gave me the freedom to travel far and wide without fear. The scholarship meant so much to me, and it helped me be able to matriculate at Bates College in Lewiston, Maine, where I studied political science and Spanish and got the bug for international living during my junior year abroad in Madrid, Spain. After enjoying a few years in San Francisco during the technology boom and bust, I finally had the opportunity to pursue my dream of living and working abroad. In 2003, I was selected to move to my company's London office and manage a team there. The fact that I had studied Spanish at Bates was one of the elements that helped me successfully get a work permit to live in the United Kingdom. My assignment was initially for 18 months, but our company was acquired in 2004, and I continued to have exciting opportunities to progress within the new organization, Thomson Reuters, which led me to stay in London, where I remain today. Over the past few years, I have been very fortunate to have a very exciting career, traveling in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. I have managed various teams and felt confident operating in often male-dominated settings, thanks to my experience of being a female studying karate and always being told that I could do anything the guys could do. I also have the independent karate school and the scholarship to thank for my family. If I had not gone to Bates and studied Spanish, I would likely not have had the opportunity to move to Europe and meet my husband, with whom I now have 2 wonderful little boys. The ways in which the independent karate school has impacted my life are innumerable and far too many to mention here, but hopefully this gives you some indication of the impact this karate school and this scholarship have had on my life. I'm so very grateful to have had the opportunities I have had, and so proud of what the independent karate school has done for so many children and young adults. Best regards, Deirdre Dastos.
Dear Denise, the Independent Karate School is much more than a school where I learned karate. It provided discipline, leadership skills, and the courage to push myself further than I thought possible. I started at the IKS at a very young age. My parents heard good things about it and its focus beyond martial arts as an environment where I could find some strong role models. I did. The IKS has always been filled with people of an exceptional caliber that you can't help but want to emulate. The Independent Karate School helped me learn how to appreciate hard work. I love the experience of learning a new kata or technique for the sheer joy of having gained a degree of competency at something. I didn't do it to show off, and I certainly didn't do it because it was easy. I practiced and learned the curriculum because it was there, something to be conquered. Everything else was secondary. For me, though, the largest impact of IKS went beyond martial arts. Karate was more of a way to teach discipline and a good attitude rather than how to fight. There was always a strong focus on volunteering and charity, ranging from demos at local events to providing a variety of well-organized and efficient volunteer services. Volunteering wasn't always easy, especially in the brutal summer heat while doing grueling work. In the end, though, it was always satisfying, and I always came away from the work better off than I had been previously. I had plenty of interests outside of martial arts. The biggest interest was computer graphics. The discipline instilled in me by the dojo helped me to study programming and computer animation outside of school and my classes. I ultimately found myself the recipient of the Independent Karate School Scholarship Foundation's 2008 scholarship, which helped me obtain my BS at Purdue University in computer graphic technology. Beyond the scholarship, the IKS continued to aid me in college. The skills and self-discipline I had learned enhanced my ability to focus on my studies and my education above all else, consistently staying ahead in my classes no matter how boring. I sought out new challenges, initially by joining a virtual reality and scientific visualization research lab my sophomore year as a student programmer. Before my senior year, I started assisting with research outside of the lab where I worked on the charitable side, by working on software that aided physical therapy patients suffering from a chronic condition. I did this work outside of class and outside of my paid hours because I knew it was an effective way to give back. I developed a core piece of software, led a team of students, helped perform research, and spoke at a conference. As a result of my efforts and values instilled within me by IKS, I was able to land a job straight out of school at one of the largest companies in my field. Today, I still rely upon what IKS taught me, and it continues to truly help me achieve my dreams. Respectfully, Christian Barrett.
Welcome back to Fairy Tale Access. Now I have a couple of students and one parent from the Independent Karate School to talk about their experiences there. So with me to my left, I have Christopher Lozo, I have Annika, I have Holly Hayden, and let's start with Annika. How did you get involved in the karate school?
My dad told me because he used to do karate, and so he said, "Do you want to do karate?" I said yes.
Why did you want to do karate? Did you see Milan?
No, it's because then Daddy told me that Jane did it, and I said, yeah, I want to do it.
Oh, great. And what do you like about the karate school?
I like it because everybody's nice, and I have so much fun there.
Really? Now, are your classes with boys and girls or just girls?
It's with boys and girls.
Oh, so you're working and competing right alongside boys? Can you keep up with them?
We line up by rank.
Okay. And are boys in the same rank as you sometimes?
Yes.
Wow, that's great. So you're doing a good job.
Mhm.
And what belts do you hold right now?
I have orange belt.
An orange belt. And you told me earlier that you're going to be getting another belt soon.
Mhm.
What are you working towards?
To get my purple belt. So I have to work on my combinations next week, and I'm getting my purple belt.
Oh, congratulations. We'll keep our fingers crossed for you. I'm sure you'll do great. And do you know what you want to be when you grow up?
A teacher.
You want to be a teacher? What type of teacher?
A karate teacher and a school teacher.
Oh, that'll be great. I think you'll be awesome at it. So, Mrs. Hayden, as a parent, how has your experience with Annika attending the Independent Karate School influenced you or your child?
I really like the fact that they concentrate on teaching the kids values, respect, determination, hard work, and above all, a good attitude. And I like the fact that they make it a safe and positive learning environment for the children. They're always encouraged to just get up and try it. You know, it doesn't matter if you don't do it right the first time, that's fine, because the teachers are here and the older kids are here to help you.
Oh, that's great. And from a parent's perspective, how do you see the school helping your daughter?
Gosh, there's so many ways. I mean, like I said, it's the fact that it's teaching her values like respect, and it's the fact that it's teaching a young woman to be able to defend and take care of herself. Mm-hmm. And I like the fact that although they're teaching children how to fight, the lesson is that's not your first resort, it's your last resort, and it's to be used as a defense, not an offense.
So does the school allow you to watch their practices? Do parents sit in?
Yeah, they do. It's really a neat experience to watch her progress and to watch her learn and kind of just be even a part of something that's completely separate from me, that's her own, that she's learning for her.
Mm-hmm. And what is the rapport like with the other parents?
It's like any school. I mean, there's some great parents there who you know, as you're sitting there watching together, you get to know them, and the kids make friends and you get to know their parents. But it's everyone's very supportive of the children.
That's great. And Christopher, how did you get involved with the Independent Karate School?
I actually got involved when I was very young, about her age actually, and I went for a few years, and I just couldn't remember anything, and so I sort of got frustrated, and I left for a little while. And then when I was in 7th grade, I made good friends with someone, and he said, you know, I do karate. Do you have anything that you do? And I said, I used to do karate. Where do you go? And sure enough, he went to the Independent Karate School, and so that helped to bring me back in. But O-sensei at the time, he was actually friends with my father, and we would see him every Sunday. We'd go out to breakfast, and he would be there, and we'd talk, and he'd say, you should come back. You're good. You need to come back. And so eventually it worked, and I came back around 7th grade.
Wow. And how has the school helped you?
You know, I was one of those kids that in middle school I had tried soccer. I had tried football, and neither of them were really for me. And it was, you know, how it is in school. Like, everyone needs to have their thing, or you're sort of... So I got back into karate, and it sort of gave me that... I mean, it was still incredibly physically demanding, so I had that exercise aspect, but it was also... There was a great camaraderie, and there was a great family atmosphere, for sure.
Did you apply for their scholarship program?
I did. I applied for their scholarship my senior year, and I ended up receiving the scholarship, which was a big help my freshman year, for sure.
Oh, wow. And what did you go on to do?
Well, I actually started off looking to go into film production. That was something that I gravitated towards the end of high school, and as I was going through it, I decided it wasn't something I wanted to do as a job. It was a fun hobby for me, but it wasn't a job for me. And I sort of went through a crisis, and one of the people that I talked to was Hanshi Anastasia, one of the headmasters of the school. And he had told me since I was young that, you know, you have a real gift for teaching. Like, you're really good at explaining complicated things, and you know, I had done some, you know, I had helped instruct at the school and things like that, and he had really pushed me hard for years to be a teacher, and I was always like, no, I'm trying to get out of school. I don't want to stay in school the rest of my life, you know. But I tried it, and that's where I'm at today. I teach middle school in Hudson.
do?
I do.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big change.
A little bit.
And you want to be a teacher too? Do you want to teach little kids, middle school, high school?
I want to teach little kids.
Little kids. So kindergarten, first grade.
Mm-hmm.
Are you in second grade right now? Or third?
First.
First? 7. Ooh. Okay. And I have a question for you. What's your favorite book of all time?
Puff the Magic Dragon.
Oh, that is a good book. Why is it your favorite book?
Because at the end, Puff the Magic Dragon gets a new friend.
Oh, that is a good story. Do either one of you have a favorite book?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time thinking about this question, but I'll go with the kids' book because I think that's easier for me to pick out. And I was a big fan of The Giving Tree when I was a little kid.
Oh,
I really
haven't read
enjoyed
that in a
that.
long time. That was a very
It's a really
good
good book, and it's something that you can get stuff out of even as an adult. So yeah, you should read it again.
What did you like about it the most?
I think it just really talks about, you know, how it's important to give as much as you can of yourself, even if people don't necessarily appreciate it right away, they will later.
Mm-hmm.
The selflessness, I guess.
Oh, your students must like you.
I like to think so, I guess.
And what about you? Did you ever have a favorite book?
Oh, by far, Dr. Seuss, The Sneetches and Other Stories.
Oh, that was good.
It's an excellent one. And I guess, of course, I liked it when I was little because it's funny. It's Dr. Seuss, but I really like, you know, there's 4 different stories in the book, but the overall message is everybody's different, and that's a positive thing.
Oh, great. So what would be your message to viewers about the Independent Karate School? We've heard some amazing stories from you guys, and we heard some stories from other graduates that have moved on and even have lives in different countries. What would your message be to people that were thinking about karate? Would they feel welcome if they came into the Independent Karate School?
Yes.
Really? Would it be easy to make new friends?
Mm-hmm.
And they wouldn't feel like they were being bullied
No.
because they'd learned how to protect themselves?
Yep.
Wow, you sound very sure on that one. Is there anything else as a parent that stands out to you?
I just, the same thing I've said before, the fact that they're teaching the kids respect and discipline, and the fact that everyone there is really geared towards teaching young children and helping them and making them more confident and helping them grow.
That is a great trait. And what about you?
I would mirror what sort of both of them said, that it's a really comfortable environment, and you know, when you're a young kid, you know, and you're very shy, it's just a really welcome environment, and I think that's one of the things that can really set the IKS apart from other karate schools, is that it's always a very welcome, respectful, comfortable environment where it's always very safe and everyone really treats each other nicely, and you learn too. And I think that's really great.
Great. Well, thank you very much for joining us today on Fairy Tale Access.
Thank you.
And until next time, I think you'll find that this group highlights what you can do if you step out of your comfort zone just a little bit to find your niche. So keep asking questions, and until next time, we'll see you soon.